What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Almost Functional 40K. Here with Aiden to do our weekly Wolf Council.
Hey, Wolf Lords, how's it going? Happy to be back. What's up, Matt? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just decompressing from the GT this weekend.
Yeah, how did that turn out?
I ended up 3-2.
Solid.
Yep. Both my losses were in the Knights. One in the Imperial Knights, one in the Chaos Knights.
Wow. Wow, they're doing well Knights recently, haven't they
Yeah.
been?
Yeah, they actually won the whole event.
Imperial
So
Knights or
out of
Chaos Knights?
70 people, Imperial won the event. Out of 70 people, there was 4 Imperial Knights and 2 Chaos Knights. And I played 2 of the Imperial Knights and 1 of the Chaos Knights. So 3 of my 5 games were in the Knights.
Wow. That's kind of shocking. Yeah. I just
that was
don't
just a
ever
really
remember.
weird. Yeah, that doesn't really happen too much.
It's weird that Knights are doing well. Like the last time Knights did well was like 9th or 8th edition. Like it just has been so long since we've seen Knights do pretty well.
Yeah, I think, Eldar losing their Fate dice, I think, hurt them into it. And I think a lot of people were going anti-Eldar, which really isn't anti-Knight. So Knights kind of, I think, are taking advantage of people playing for Eldar, because there were still like 10, 12 Eldar out of like the 60 people. So like they're still the majority faction you see is Eldar. So building to beat Eldar isn't a bad thing, but now those start to see a little more Knight players, and then it's hard to be good into both.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite tech. You need to do just like a wall of T12 bodies versus like squishy, fast, jumps you jump T3 one wound dudes. Are complete opposites for how to tech.
Yes.
Wow.
All right, but so yeah, I'll go ahead and pop up this. So this is the list I was running. Champions: Harold Deathwolf, Battle Leader with the Black Death, which we'll get into it, but it did good for me this weekend.
Good.
Battle Leader on Thunderwolf and a Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf. Both of them were running with big 6-mans. But yeah, my first game played into Chaos Marines with 2 Vindicators, 3 Predators. Second game was Knights. Third game was Chaos Demons with Fate Weaver, Lord of Change, Bloodthirster. And then my other 2 games were Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights. So every game I had good stuff for Black Death to into. So
Yeah, no, really.
So if I
A lot
played
of
like
durable
an
armies.
all infantry Dream Stealer cult or all infantry Eldar or something like that, sometimes it's like, I didn't need that 25 points. But
yeah.
So then I had JPIs, 2 Ballistas, Infiltrators, Outriders, Reavers, Scouts, the 2 Wolves, and then Lehman Rex.
Lehman Rex. I love that
Canis
name.
Rex, yeah. So he did pretty good, but we'll go ahead and look at. So my first matchup was in the Chaos Space Marines. This guy's actually in the real Space Wolf chat with us. He used to be a Space Wolf player, but now he plays more Chaos, but he's still in our Space Wolf chat. Yeah. So he had 2 Dark Apostles, Mastery Executions, Sorcerer and Terminator Armor, Cultist Mob, 2 Rhinos, 2 squads of Bikers, 3 Predators, 2 Vindicators, 3 squads of Chosen, and a squad of Nurglings.
So kind of an all-rounder CSM unit list.
Yeah, I liked the list. I thought the list was pretty good. I was a little worried about it. That's a lot of good shooting into Wolves and into Canis. So I was like, all right, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, how did it go?
So I ended up winning 79-51. It was Scorched Earth on Tipping Point. It was mission, I believe it's D. So I ended up going 10-5-5. He ended up going 10-10-10. Or sorry, he went 10-5-5-5. I went 10-10-10-15. He made a mistake on turn 1. He moved up and started burning an objective, and he completed it.
Huh.
But it was his expansion objective. So I didn't have to worry about. So once he started burning it, he was burning it with a Rhino. I was like, all right, should I kill him and stop it? I was like, actually, no. If I let him burn that and just shift my whole army over toward the other two objectives that are still there, I think it's actually ended up costing him points. So actually,
Yeah, wow, that's really interesting. I feel like turn one burn is like always ambitious, and I always think about it, but
yeah,
then yeah, burning your expansion is just kind of a detriment to
yeah,
you on turn
yeah. If
one.
you have like an Outriders or an infiltrated unit that can burn their expansion, and you think they can pull it off, that would be big. But I don't think you ever want to burn your expansion that early. That's something I always said when we did like reviews on the missions over on Lewis's channel, the Onslaught channel. Scorched Earth, you never want to burn too early because you actually end up costing yourself points.
Totally. Yeah.
So at that point, I felt confidence, and he was going first, so I could kind of, or no, I went
Yeah.
first. Actually, he went second, but I was able to kind of just sit back and know I was going to get up on primary and just really worry about scoring secondaries. Just
Yeah.
screed him off with the wolves from the two objectives.
You had a pretty significant primary advantage. 5-5-5 on the last three turns for
Yeah,
him, and
and
you had a 10,
probably
10,
one or
15.
two of these would have been tens if he hadn't burnt.
Totally.
This first one would have only been a 5 though, so he probably cost himself 5 points, which is a little bit of something, but not a lot. And then just he didn't have, other than one cultist squadron, and the Nurglings can't do action. He didn't have a lot of stuff to do actions, which
Right.
is one
Yeah.
thing I do love about my list. Is I had the JPIs, I had the Reavers, I had the Scouts, I had the Outriders.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
curious. So I know I want to get into what did well, what did bad for your list, but it's like maybe we can start into it. So as far as skirmish and mission play goes, you have infiltrators, you have scouts. You have scouts?
yep, I have Scouts.
Scouts, you have outriders, you have JPI. How
Yep,
did you like your skirmish and
and the
mission play?
Reavers, and I have the
And
Reavers.
Reavers.
Uh, it was pretty good. Like some of that stuff is really interchangeable. Just depends on how you played each game.
Yeah.
And Canis being able to shoot in action is just really just an extra
Oh
piece.
yeah, he can shoot in action. You told me that.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
yeah. So he can step up, do a containment, and still shoot. So that just really, really helps with that stuff. Because unless you're playing into other knights, people can't use their good units to shoot. They have to, or to action because they need them to shoot into the wolves and Canis.
Right. Yep. That makes sense.
Yeah. So once he did that burn, I was really pretty confident in this game, and then I just kind of didn't have to go hard. Just hold him off the middle objectives and just make sure our secondary stayed close. He did beat me by, what's that, 8 points on secondaries. But I was able to beat him by, oh no, I keep looking at this backwards because we're both mats. I beat him by 8 on secondaries, but then I beat him by 20 on primary. So it was really, really.
Yeah, primary was the big thing here.
Yeah. And so then the next round I played into another good friend of mine. Everybody calls him Milkman, but John Anderson. So he had Canis and an Atropos.
Wow, two big nights.
Yep. 3 Helvrins, 4 Warglaves, a Caladius, and a Navigator.
Okay.
And the Navigator gives off the same 12-inch deep strike aura as the Infiltrators. So that's a really, really cool little guy, which honestly, considering maybe taking him in a list or so, because you can drop him, especially on layout 1, back on that objective, and just bubble all that out, and he's a little cheaper than Infiltrators.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how many little knights did he have?
He had 7.
7 little knights, 2 big knights. Gosh, it's just a wall of armor.
Well, they're all OC8, and yeah, so let's go ahead and look into this. So this was on Burden of Trust, and it was layout 1 with Search and Destroy, which is a really, really tough layout for the double wolf units and Canis.
And Canis, all in that one corner.
Because you always have to go back and both behind that one L and try to get out around.
Wow, that's really tough.
Yeah. So yeah, he kept me to an 8 on primary. This game really, really got out of hand super early. One of the problems was, well, one, Knights going first. Both my losses into Knights were when they went first. My one win into Knights was when I went first. Is if they can push all that OC into the middle, and you don't kill it really quick, this primary starts running away. So that's what kind of happened in this game. He pushed all his stuff up in the middle, and then I sent Harold's unit in with the Black Death and everything. Charged two 2 little knights and couldn't kill either of them.
Whoa.
So
Oh no.
that unit normally that was a theme through this whole game is I kept leaving knights alive on 3, 2, or 1 wounds. I went two
Oh,
rounds. I went 2 rounds in a row with the both Thunderwolf units. Between all of them, maybe getting 4 sustained and lethals and not getting any dev wounds on Black Death.
that's terrible, man. And knights are at that breakpoint T10
Yeah,
if you don't have Lance.
nope.
Oh, it is so rough. And this is the one thing I found in Champions of Russ. Unless
Yep.
you unlock Saga of the Beast Slayer really early, you don't have access to +1 to wound in melee. And so T10 and up can be such a breakpoint, such a bad breakpoint. Wow.
Yep. And I normally can unlock it pretty early into a list like this, but the Wolves whiffed. That first turn I went in, I'm like, I figured I would trigger Beast with the first unit I sent in. The first, I think it was turn 2. And then I figured on turn 3, I'd have Beast Slayer for that unit and when the other unit came in, but it didn't. So I didn't get to trigger it till turn 3. And then, so now I don't have Beast Slayer till turn 4, and that was just bad. And I made one key mistake is on the far right side of my deployment on behind those L's. I put and then I had the ballistas right in front of it where it couldn't be shot. But then when I moved out, the ballistas to shoot and Canis to shoot, he ends up charging 2 little knights into the ballistas. And the way it's set up is there's that little 2-inch piece right there. So Canis was basically stuck behind that knight, and so he had like a 11-inch charge to clear the terrain to get into the knights, and so then the next turn he was able to move up to touch that piece, still get some shots, but then had like a 9-inch charge because his whole base has to clear that to get in. So I lost 2 rounds of Canis's combat, which
That's so brutal. I mean,
he is really good at picking those things up. At damage 9, like he's real good at picking those things up. So if I actually had
wow, it seems like he was able to really just jail your units in on a bad deployment as well. He went first.
He was able to jail Canis. The Wolves didn't necessarily get jailed. They got in. They just whiffed hard early.
Right.
And then he just out OCs you. If he hits 2 knights touch an objective, you charge both. If you kill one, you still have to have 4 wolves on it just to contest. And if you whiff and leave them both alive, there's no controlling it.
It's rough. That's really rough.
So that was the main mistake. If I'd had Canis staggered or the other ballistas over there, just so Canis could get in, he could potentially pick up 2 knights a turn between shooting and charging.
Wow.
So my dice whiffed a little bit, and I made a big mistake, and those 2 combined just really, really let this game.
Yeah, knights going first. You're right. You have to really start chewing through all that OC really quickly. Otherwise, they're going to run away on primary. You whiff on a couple knights.
Yep.
That's game.
Yeah, because neither of us did much turn 1, and then he was able to. I whiffed turn 2, and then turn 3, I finally got to trigger Slayer, and that was by the time Canis was dead before he could get out because I jailed him. He was able to get those shots into him. So if I'd had Canis up front, so he got in, it could have helped the Wolves fight. I probably could have killed off some of that stuff quicker, and then he can't kill Canis as easily, and he can't kill the Wolves as easily. So I have more stuff alive, and then maybe I can start digging primary back at the end.
Yeah.
So that was one thing I just realized, like, after the game was like, yes, dice were a little bad, but I also made a mistake that was just as significant, if not more, than the bad dice.
Right.
So that was that game. And then my third game, last game of day 1, I played into Demonic Incursion, Bloodthirster, Contorted Epitome, Fluxmaster, Fate Weaver, Lord of Change, Skull Taker, and the Changeling. And the Changeling and the Epitome, I think it is, have an ability to like give you -1 to hit, and if they roll a 6, they can stop you from shooting altogether.
Right.
He was actually able to pull that off on Canis one turn. Rolled the 6, and Canis couldn't even shoot.
Wow.
Yeah. So then he had a 10-man Bloodletter, a 10-man Blue Hoarder, a 10-man Demonette, 2 squads of Nurglings, 10-man of Pink Horror, a 6-man Screamer, and a 3-man Screamer.
Pretty all over, pretty smorgasbord of units.
Yeah.
None of the, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's not the new detachment. It's not, so I'm not big on Demas, so I'm not sure how good that list is or isn't.
Yeah. I don't know.
But he was able to, I got first turn in this game, but he was able to get a Terraform off early. But luckily, I was able to keep him off objective. So he got his 6 every turn for holding 1 objective in the terraform. But as the wolves slowly pushed him back, I was able to hold more objectives and just slowly.
Okay.
And I didn't get a terraform till end of game.
Okay.
But secondaries, I beat him by 11, and then primary ended up winning by 14. He made a play early because they could up down some units. He picked up his Bloodthirster and Bloodletters and dropped them kind of like on the edge of one of my screen to set up a long charge into one of my wolf squads.
Right.
So I think he needed like 8s and 9s to make the 2 charges, and he failed both of them. So I was able to come in with both wolf squads with Black Death and pick up the Bloodthirster and the Bloodletters with Skull almost for free.
Those wolves are so good at picking up single targets, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So he made a big gamble there. If he'd have hit both those, it would have honestly probably been a little rough for me because those things do some damage and they would have been swinging first. And it was turn 1. So I think I only had 1 CP, so it wouldn't really been interrupting or anything like that.
Right.
But then he failed both of them. So he just made a big all-in gamble turn 1 that either wins him the game if he hits both, loses if he fails both, or maybe we're equal depending on which one hits. But then he failed both. And they're long charges. They're not reliable, so it was a long shot that he took. But so that really, really kind of swung the game heavy in my favor from there. And my list normally scores secondaries fairly well, so I'm never really worried about that too much unless somebody kills way too much early.
Yeah.
And then day 2 I end up playing Knights twice. Oh, this is still Milkman's list. Let's get rid of that. So I played into
Knights game.
Second Imperial Knight life. So Canis Rex again, so another Canis on Canis. Knights Errant, 1, 2, 3 1 Helverin, and then was that 4 Warglaves? 1, 2, 3, 4 Warglaves. And then he had a Calidus, and then he had the Immolators with the sister squad. Which actually I think it was in my favor because it took away like 2 little knights at least.
2 little knights, and they only have like 1 twin link multi-milta, and they strip cover, and they have a couple sister squads for actions and OC, but they don't do a lot of damage.
No. So this one I actually end up getting to go first, which I find into knights is really, really important for my list.
Right.
And this was linchpin, so the one where you hold your back, and then each of the middle ones is worth more. So I actually got real luck. My dice, as cold as my dice were in the other game, they spiked in this game. I set Canis up, so he was able to get in. So he had the Mysterious Garden on his Knight Errant, so he put that in reserve. So I got first turn, so I pushed everything up because I knew I had to get into them. He kind of came up. Then turn 2, I was able to kill, I think, 2 or 3 Armigers, and then really get in position for the next turn. And then on turn 3, I killed a couple more Armigers, the Immolator, and Canis Rex.
Wow.
Before he even brought his Knight Errant in. And then I was able to... Then I was on the next turn. You'll see where he got a 0 on turn 4. I was able to take his home field objective that turn.
With who?
The Thunderwolf squad that killed Canis, because Canis was right back there near
the
objective,
wow.
and all that was left. All that was left back there was the the sisters and the Immolator.
Wow.
And so then he was able to take a single objective in the middle on the last turn to get a 3 because he was going last, but. Yeah, turn 2 and 3 of my dice spiked, and I just picked up so much knights that was...
Yeah, and also his list was less damage, more like mission play, and I don't think that's the way to go with knights. So
no, it's very similar, other than the list that won that Georgia Cherokee had some sisters in it, but they had the Atropos or whatever instead of the Errant. So it's kind of similar to that list, but I do think just... maybe 1 Calidus, there's like 1 or 2 little units to support them, but yeah, just going in more bodies is the way to go. Because knights really, if dice spike their way and you kill a little less than you should, it can start snowballing in their favor. But if dice goes the other way and you kill a little more than you should, it can snowball the other way just because they have so few assets.
Yeah, totally. Very swingy army. Yeah. I have not played knights in all of 10th. Yeah.
Yeah, I have played 2 weekends ago. I played, or the last time I took him before I started running Canis Rex, I played the same guy, John Milkman, the guy I lost to round 2. He's a local guy. I known him for a long time. But so he got me when I was running the Dreadnought list, which does not play into Knights well at all. So then we lost that, we won that, and then we played into Chaos Knights.
Another Knights is literally all big stuff this weekend.
And he had no big Knights in this list.
Okay.
So he has one Stalker. He has 4 Brigands, 2 Huntsmen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Carnivores.
Carnivores, man, they're scary.
So it's 13 Knights, 6 Combat Knights. 7 of them have the Meltas.
Whew.
And then a couple of those also have the Chain Talons and stuff on them. Then he had 2 squads of Nurglings.
Okay.
Wow. So he won the role to be attacker or defender. So he dropped his Nurglings first in the middle. Then he dropped another Nurgling on the side, and I put the scouts and stuff out. But then he won the role for first turn. He advanced both Nurgling squads up to funnel the Thunderwolves away from the middle in the objectives. So I couldn't
That's really tough. Yep, jailing the Thunderwolves is.
And then he came up behind it, and this was also taken hold. So there were 6 objectives.
Huh.
So the middle objective was split. So he had 3 objectives really close to himself that he could just walk on and sit with big.
Oh, that's so brutal.
And the Chaos Knights, if you've taken any damage, like if you're a unit, if you lost any models, and if you're a single unit like a Canis or something, if you've taken any wounds, if you're within 12 inches of them, you have to take a battle shock at -1 every command phase.
Wow.
So he's sitting there. So he's sitting there with all this OC8, and then you're like, I finally got enough Thunderwolves on to contest it. Oh, well, you fail your battle shock.
That's not fun.
No, so it's really, really good. So you see, so he got 15. The 2 middle turns, I was able to keep him to 10s, which with 6 objectives against Knights, I was kind of proud of that. And then he got another 15. And I went 10, 10, 10, 5. Those 15s I couldn't catch up on. So he ended up getting me by 15 on primary.
Yeah, wow.
And then secondary, he got me by 7 just because the last 2 turns I didn't have much left. And that just kind of screened me off the objectives. So I didn't have a lot of tech pieces left alive to do much. Because they're so fast, he was able to kill my scouts and my reavers turn 1 with shooting.
Yeesh, man. Yeah, picking off some of your action doers, screeners, objective stuff.
And they're back behind that little V in the middle on layout 1, which normally sitting there, they're fairly safe. I've never really had them get killed like that before, but his Knights just were able to push up and just get an angle.
Wow. Brutal. But 3-2, man. So you ended up a positive record. You played 3 Knights. You played 1 Demons. You played 1 CSM.
So I think I fight into everything that's not Knights fairly well. So the fact that I hit out of 6 Knight players, I hit 3 of them out of 70 people is just a really weird pairing mishap, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, that is really weird. But sometimes it happens at a tournament, man.
Oh, absolutely. You can't
control that.
And just like my round 2 matchup, if I'd have played him on the other layout 6, I think it would have been better. And on this one, if we've been playing any of the 5 objective missions, I think it would have been a little better for me because now he has to come to the middle, whereas he could touch the way the objective him sitting up. It was behind a piece of building, so he could just have 2 OC8 Knights sitting on it, where Canis couldn't get angles, and the Wolves had to charge all the way around walls. So he was basically set up to get his 15 and 10s.
Wow!
No matter what I did, and then those carnivores and stuff just pushed up in my face and held me back. And by the time
carnivores can be brutal. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he made this mistake of charging 2 into Canis. He did like 10 wounds, and then I interrupted and killed the other. And he made a mistake later that let me get a blood surge off, which wasn't too big because they can still shoot out. And then I don't count as charging, but it did stop them from charging at a ballistus that lived a turn earlier, an extra turn. But I find in the Knights, if I go first, I have a chance, and if I go second, it takes a little luck.
So what did you think about your list?
Oh, yeah, so let's go back to the list. So Herald and the Battle Leaders and the Wolf Lord with the Wolves, No, I always like that. They always seem to do fairly well. The JPIs are fine. They're one of the things that could be dropped. There's like so much things that could switch into. Ballistics are really good. I like the fact that they don't need oath. They can kind of do their own thing. They're a little
Right.
harder to kill. I love my infiltrators. Outriders, Reavers, JPIs are all
Okay.
interchangeable with other
Yeah.
stuff. You could take intercessors. You could take two Reavers. You could take two, like, all that stuff is just mission play stuff that could, like, it doesn't do enough of any one thing. Like, oh, that's amazing. They score points.
It's
They
a
can just
fine
swap
unit.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scouts, I love scouts because they can do the infiltrate scout move.
Yep.
Mine rarely ever up down. They normally score me a bunch of early points and then die.
Yep.
But I like that they can drop in the middle there. So if you draw area denial, you draw extend, you draw secure, you can score a bunch of points without exposing anything else in your list. Everything else you can just worry about staging. So scouts, I love. Thunderwolves are good. Canis, I'm having a lot of fun with. Just he's hard to kill in most matchups. He shoots good. He fights good. He can shoot in action.
Yeah. What's his defensive profile?
He's 22 wounds, T12, 3 up save, 5 up invul. I can't
Okay.
rotate or any of that stuff because he's not in a night detachment, but he
Right.
does have the free CP.
Yeah. Free
So,
CP for a reroll save. It's a big shot or something.
yeah, and he's
Pretty solid.
also normally I use it for a free battle or a free tank shock.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Pretty solid. So your skirmish is okay. What do
Yeah.
you think of your shooting? You got two ballistas and Canis.
The shooting is fine. It's enough to kill some transports, and once the wolves in, I really don't need a lot of shooting. But Canis has the big shot. That's D6 blast, strength 14, neg 3, 4 damage, and then he also has another version of he can shoot that's 2d6 blast, strength 7, 2 damage. I can't remember if it's neg 1 or neg 2. And then he's
Yeah.
got 4 little shots at strength 6, AP 0, 2 damage.
Okay. Huh.
So he's decent into a big unit or like another knight or something like that. He's
Yeah.
shooting
Pretty
pretty decent.
solid all
Yeah.
around shooting.
And then his combat is 5 attacks at 20, strength 20, neg 3, 9 damage.
It's a little overkill.
Or 10 attacks at strength 10, neg 2, 3 damage.
Wow. A little overkill.
And all of his attacks are hitting on 2s, sustained on 5s.
Yeah, sustained 5s is great. That's fantastic.
And I find people are a little scared of him, so sometimes they'll deploy stuff that could shoot wolves or stuff a little more cautiously than they normally would, which actually, in an indirect way, keeps the wolves a little safer.
Alive a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I like the most about a Gladiator Lancer in my list is not the actual damage it did, but people are like, oh, like what angle it's going to get and how far can it move? It can advance and shoot.
Yep.
Let me deploy right back here. And so like it made people really defensive in their deployment. And you're right, they couldn't get out to get angles early on important units. I loved how it made people deploy.
Yeah. So I was playing around with some ideas like maybe cutting one of the 6-mans into 2 3-mans and dropping like the Reavers or the Infiltrators to give them a battle leader. So I have the full squad with Harold just because the way his dev wound hits more people. The battle leader and Wolf Lord with a 3-man and then another battle leader with a 3-man. I was playing around with that idea. I kind of don't like them just having a battle leader, and I don't have to drop too much other stuff to take another character. I think that's something that maybe I'd play around with in a non-Canis list. So I kind of decided not to do that. But I was considering dropping the JPIs just because.
Yeah, they're fine. They do most
fine.
everything fine.
Yeah. Yeah. But I thought about possibly dropping them and either the Reavers or the Outrider squad because they're the same points. And that would let me take a second Infiltrator squad and the Phobos captain that gives you the ability to redeploy 3 infantry units.
Interesting.
So in a game like against Knights or anything like that, you can infiltrate your 2 infiltrator units and your scouts super aggressively right up against their line to stop their infiltrates and stuff. And then after they deploy, move it all back to safely, like the 2 infiltrators back to my side of the table to just screen out my whole half of the board. Because I know this weekend, Demons have it, Grey Knights have it, a lot of people that can 6-inch deep strike. So having those infiltrators back there can really, really shut that down. and make them have to do it in front of Thunderwolves. Um,
Yeah, I mean that is a really valid strategy against these big units. Is just to screen them and block them early, prevent them from
mhm.
getting out. You saw that in the Chaos Knight game. Um, that is, yeah. I mean, if you want to spend those points to redeploy those units to just keep the mid board open
Yeah.
for the early
Well,
game.
and another thought was in certain matchups, like if I was playing the Chaos Knights or something, like the Chaos Knights have a strat where they can run 2 Little Knights through walls or other people, uh, but they can't do that with all of them. Is in that case maybe only redeploy the one infiltrator back to protect my home base like I normally do, and then scout the scouts right in their face like you did to me that one time, and leave the
Yes.
other infiltrator squad right in their line. So I'm like, I'm giving up 2 units turn one, but I'm stunting you taking that board from me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly how I jail a lot of units early. Is just
Yeah.
throw stuff to gum things up, then
Mhm.
infiltrate.
Yeah.
Um,
Now the other thought is instead of a second infiltrator, take a second scout squad for 70 points. So they leave the 2 scout squads up, and they can both then scout to really get in the way. And that leaves me 30 points, and I could throw in like a Fenrisian wolf squad or something, and leave them in the back to do that
to
extra
screen.
screening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I mean, I do like a good amount of early games infiltrating, but I also have to recognize that if you take too much
Hmm.
screening, too much infiltrating, that doesn't do damage. You kind of run into a damage problem.
Yeah.
Um,
What's the thing? These units that I'm swapping them out for are already units that don't really do
do a
damage.
lot of damage. They do some skirmish damage. They'll punch okay into other skirmish stuff,
Yeah.
but they're not punching up. Yeah.
No. No, like the Reavers, yeah, they'll maybe kill a little squad. The Outriders, honestly, most of my games never left my deployment zone. I
Really? Were they screeners or were they?
Well, what I started doing in a couple of the last games when they didn't have any real good deep strike threats is I had the Outriders holding my own home objective and screening out 9 with their big bases and
Yeah.
infiltrating my infiltrators, especially on search and destroy, over to the other table quarter next to me on that
Yeah.
objective and having them 12-inch bubble out that side.
I mean, Outriders are one of the most durable units for
Hmm.
their points that we have.
Yeah.
So them holding your home is pretty solid, actually.
Yeah. Well, nothing ever even gets back there to threaten them. So I was thinking at that point, instead of just having them sitting back there doing nothing, I could bring one of those scout squads or that second infiltrator squad back to do that.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
so they're still doing the same points. I'm spending however many points just to have somebody sit there on that backfield,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
tends to work well. Um,
So
and
you're liking
with
Canis, but you're thinking about switching up the Thunderwolf kind of configuration
no,
at
I
a 2 by
decided
6.
against that. I think I'm going to
Okay.
try the Phobos Lieutenant guy because yeah, I put that stuff out, but then I pull it all back safely in most matchups,
You don't have
unless
to commit stuff. Yeah.
yeah, unless it's the what's it called, like a Knight 13 chaos. There's something where I need to jam them up, and I think sacrificing them is worth more than having them in those matchups. But most of the time, they'll just come back safely to positions where I normally deploy them to start with now anyway to score like area denials and stuff. Just basically have them do the same thing they're doing now, but have that extra little tool in the bag. And then the little Phobos lieutenant, I can either attach him to one of the squads or just have him running around as an extra little piece to score and do
Yeah.
actions and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I do like that. Um, I also like, for the same reason as the Phobos lieutenant, I like the combi lieutenant because he can
Yes.
be put in the midfield pretty aggressively and
Yes.
screen out infiltrators and screen out scouts, and then
Hmm.
also keep himself safe. So you don't have to actually sacrifice a unit to like use screening
Oh,
from
I
him
love him. And he's the same points as the captain.
as the
So
captain. That's funny.
yeah, they're both 70 points. I think I'm going to try the captain out this weekend. And if I don't really like the way that plays, I'll probably just switch him back out to the Phobos lieutenant.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I've got. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I do like that.
All right. So that's where we're at on my list. And so I ended up in 21st place out of 70 people. So Imperial Knights took first place. John Lennon got second with Ultramarines. And then Dave, also almost functional. He's the one who started to do Grey Knight videos on the channel. He got third place, and his only loss was to this Imperial Knights.
Wow, Imperial Knights down there in Florida. Also, John, is he running the weird Stormlance, Stormraven stuff?
Yep, here's right here. Here, I'll pull up John's list. real quick.
Because I know you had some weird Stormlands tech.
Yeah, so Combi Lieutenant,
Yep,
Calgar, Gilliman, Intercessors, two Ballistas, 3-man Centurion Assault Squad,
that's
Company
funny.
Heroes,
Yep.
and Cursor Squad, Outrider Squad, Scout Squad, Storm Speeder, both Hammer Strikes, and then the Storm Raven.
Okay. Yeah. Very interesting list.
Yep.
I have tried out a Stormraven. I tried it out this week, 2 games this week.
Yep.
I just find that like it's such a huge, ginormous model. There's only one place to deploy it in most games,
Yep.
and you need to be very good with it, unless you just want a full send. And full sending doesn't really work all that well. I was talking about it last week on the Council of the Fang, or last week on the podcast with Mark. That seems like a very unit. Storm Raven is a unit that's really hard to play well, I think.
Yes.
Unless you just want a full send. And
True.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right.
Yeah.
So I know we were talking about it earlier. Do you want to take a look at some of the lists that went undefeated over the weekend?
Yeah, let's take a look at what wolf lists are doing well. I figured this could be a regular thing on the council.
Yeah, we can start doing that. So here this is the list of all the undefeateds over the weekend. We're just going to look at anybody that was 5-0. We're not going to really look at RTTs because those can really skew.
Yeah, also if one or fewer losses, we want to see who went X-1 as well to see, because X-1 is almost just as good as 5-0. You can go on the left-hand side. You can sort to.
Yeah, well, I did that, but worldwide, look at all these. We have all these undefeated lists. So I figure by the time we went through them, I don't know if we'd have time to get into the.
Sure, yeah, but these are going all the way back a couple data slates ago. These are like back to 2024, August. Yeah, we can look at a couple recently, but we do want to. I at least want to look at most recent data slates because the game has changed quite significantly since some of these lists came into play.
Oh, see, yeah. I thought this was all like this week. Never mind.
No. Yeah. This is.
Aiden just turned me on. I remember looking stuff on BCP, and I can filter it to only show last weekend.
There aren't that many Wolves winning GTs.
That's why I was surprised. Like, why are all these? All right, that makes so much more sense to me.
Yeah.
All right, so we only had 4 this weekend. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4 4-1s.
Yeah. Right. Well,
and if I could have dodged one night matchup, I'd have been there too.
You would have been there too, man. Hell yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and we'll start with Jordan Knock then, the first one that pops up. This was a 20-player event, and he went 4-1. So Space Wolf Terminator's alt. So champions, Ancient and Terminator armor, Captain with Black Death, Librarian, Logan, Murder Fang, Ragnar. Oh, that's another thing I was debating was dropping the Intercessors, or no, the JPIs and either the Reavers or the Outriders. That's 170 points. That's Murder Fang.
Yeah, Murder Fang is fun in Champions, and he is quite good.
But I find if I don't have Logan to give him the full rerolls when he starts piling through, he can just whiff and get held up.
Yeah, hitting on 3s, 8 attacks can definitely whiff.
And with Canis, I don't have the points for Logan too, so I was like, I think Murder Fang gets left out. But with Logan, Murder Fang is it. Then he has Assault Intercessors, 15 Blood Claws.
15 Blood Claws with the Librarian. That's very interesting. Keep him up. Give him a 4-up invuln.
Yeah, Intercessor Squad, Hounds of Mordecai, 1 Invader, Crusader, Scout Squad, and then 10-man Terminator Assault Squad.
This is a wild list. Congrats to this person for going 4-1, but also it's a very small GT.
I was going to say it was a 20-man, so I was like, I don't know if we should in the future set it to like a 50 or more.
Yeah, that's fine, but I mean, he's got
just like a big
here.
No, absolutely. It's Champions of Rusk can buff all these units, but at a 20-man, I don't know where it was at or what the competition level is.
Yeah, big brick of Terminators, a Crusader, and a big brick of Blood Claws. Everything else is pretty relatively standard. You got Captain with self.
What he's got an Ancient, so the Ancient and Logan may both have been in that Terminator brick.
Looks like it, yeah, unless the Ancient's like sitting on his home or something.
Yeah,
but
and then Captain and Ragnar both with Assault Intercessors, Librarian with the Blood Claws. No transports though, so
they did have a Crusader was the only transport. 2 Hounds of Mordecai.
Yeah, I mean, like impulsors of these, but I'm assuming the Blood Claw brick was in the Crusader.
Maybe. I think the Blood Claw Brick's a lot more durable. It's like 15 guys with a 4-up invul, and you probably want to stick the 2 assault intercessor squads that want to get up the board in the transport that
Maybe,
aren't
but
as durable walking.
I know
I guess
sometimes with advance and charge, people don't put Ragnar in the. But
in the transport.
I always like putting him in like an impulsor or something, so he gets that extra 3 inches when he comes out.
Yeah,
A lot
interesting.
of time, yeah. So yeah, I'm interested to see what he put in the Crusader because he could have either done both assault intercessor squads or
The Blood Claws.
Blood Claw brick.
I like the Blood Claw
Because
Brick. It's kind of interesting. It's got
I find the only reason to take the Crusader over the Redeemer, other than what you own, is it holds 16 instead of 14. Because the
yes,
Blood Claw brick won't fit in the Redeemer. So I'm
right.
thinking he takes the one that holds 16, so it'll fit the Blood Claw
I
brick.
mean, that's true. Yeah, and Blood Claws in Champions of Rust with the right buffs, they slap really hard. I mean,
Oh yeah.
they're 14 points a model for essentially an assault intercessor.
Oh yeah. Doing a
And they
15
have
man with
oh,
Ulrich would have been like, well, because he can move the 12 inches up with the Land Raider, get out and charge. So basically,
I mean,
15-inch move.
yeah. I've
To get
thought
the
about mass Blood Claws with
yeah.
librarians for all 4-up invulns, but again, they need a way to get into combat. So I think that's what the Crusader's for. You're probably right.
Yeah. Just do like well, as Mark was telling us the other day, just do the double Land Raider, but do it with Blood Claws.
A double Land Raider Blood. Oh my god, that would be
One
hilarious.
with Ulrich, one or just do double librarian. You do one with the Ulrich, one with the librarian, and it's like Brett.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now you're taking 2 Crusaders instead of 2 Redeemers. And
I mean, actually, it's funny. Blood Claws kind of boost the character. You get +1 strength and attack to the character as well.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You know what character is kind of really good secretly is the Iron Priest. He has like 3 damage attacks, and if a vehicle dies, he gets 7. Goes to 8 if he's in a Blood Claw.
And he can join Blood Claws, can he?
He can. He actually can join Blood Claws. And he can go to Rhino. So they shoot the Rhino. He gets out. He has like, and then the Rhino dies because he disembarks for the Rhino. He has like 7 attacks, 8 on the charge at 9, 2, 3. He's kind of funny, He's kind of interesting. It's just interesting how Blood Claws can boost a unit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Right,
anyway,
cool. And then we'll look here at Paul James. Oh, we had 2 4-in-1 Space Wolves at the
same tournament
at the 6++ Grand Tournament. All right,
let's take a look.
There's some good Space Wolf
players.
Meta in that area.
Yeah.
All right, so this is Champions of Russ. So far, everybody's on my side about which detachment to take. But
Champions. I know everyone's trending Champions. I get it. It's fun.
No, Stormlance can be fun too. I just like giving you a hard time.
I know.
If they were all Stormlance, I wouldn't have mentioned it. But.
Well, I would say in Champions, more things are viable. In Stormlance,
Absolutely.
I would say less things are viable, but I would say they do very interesting things that you can't find elsewhere.
If you're running no Thunderwolves, Champions is the right.
For sure. Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we got Bjorn. Never hate that. Captain
Bjorn's
with
great.
a Frost weapon.
Yep.
Captain.
Triple Captain. And Ragnar.
Triple Captain, but no Black Death.
No Black Death. Wow. Quadruple. Essentially, I would say Ragnar's a captain. So it's like quadruple captain. So
yeah, Murder Fang, Ragnar. Yeah. Ragnar's the captain. And no Logan.
No Logan.
So we'll see how Murder Fang. Yeah, other than my Canis build, I think you need Logan. Like Logan, you need in most.
You really do. If you're going all melee, you want Oath for your entire army for a turn.
Because you're sending a bunch of little units in to get it done, as opposed to like a couple big units where you can rely on Oath.
I guess sustained base kind of offsets it a little bit, but you just want rerolls.
But sustained lethal with a reroll is just
it's so brutal. It makes units like incredible.
Yeah, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 assault intercessor squads.
Oh my god!
I'm assuming that's all 3 captains and Ragnar, and then there's 1 alone.
And
they're all 5-mans. 1, 2 impulsors.
Only 2 impulsors. So it looks like he's cycling them through the impulsors.
Or we'll see if he might have a Land Raider or something. So he's got at least 2 of them impulsors.
Okay.
JPI, Infiltrators, Invader, Scout.
Stern Guard.
5-man Stern Guard. 1, 2, 5-man Wolfens.
This is a really interesting list. And you know what this reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of MSU Liberator Assault Group.
Oh, yeah.
You have a bunch of small units that can really punch up with melee buffs.
Honestly, this looks like it'd be really, really fun to play.
This does look, it's like Hero Hammer. You have like really cool heroes, a
Yep.
bunch of units that I think can trade up. Sterngard can trade up. Assault Intercessors can trade up. Wolfen can trade up if they're into the right target.
Anything with Ragnar can trade up.
Yeah, Ragnar with anything. Honestly, captains, when they pop their once per game,
Oh yeah.
dev wounds and +3 attacks. With reroll wounds, they get really scary. Sustained reroll wounds, potentially +1 AP.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
The frost weapon one has the frost weapon one has a power fist.
Power fist. The other are power weapons.
Yeah, so he gets the buffs from frost weapon plus the precision from frost weapon on the turn he pops his captain thing.
+1 AP. You could get an extra AP. Yeah. So he just like all of these units can exceedingly trade up. He's got looks like 2 transports to just cycle them through. He just sends 2 transports, 2 go out and a charge onto your opponent's expansion.
Yep. Yeah, 2 jump out, charge, the other 2 jump in.
Wow. Very interesting. And here's something I think Sterngard with a captain trade up so well. They trade up so well. They don't even need Black Death. Because they have shooting.
That's true.
They have shooting that actually shoots pretty hard. I mean,
I wonder if he had, I wonder if he was running 2 intercessor squads alone and 1 with the. Oh, that's what he did. The 2 captains with the swords are running with the assault intercessors. Oh no, he doesn't have Black Death. He's got frost.
No Black Death.
I was thinking Black Death has to be with the Sterngard, but no, he's not running Black Death. So yeah, maybe one of the captains with the Sterngard, he ran 2 of the intercessor squads alone, or he ran 1 intercessor squad alone and ran the Sterngard alone.
Yeah, this is actually a unit I've included in my list in Stormlance.
Yeah,
a captain with Sterngard in an impulsor, because they just hit so hard. Champions or Stormlance, they hit harder than Ragnar with assault intercessors because they have twin linked dev wound shooting before they go in.
Oh so yeah, they're shooting. They actually, if you add the shooting into it,
yeah. They do quite a bit.
I like this list, but I don't. The thing I don't know what this does into Knights, which is the thing I'm finding to be the big boogeyman right now.
Yeah, and it's interesting because all of his rerolls are the Sterngard against the Oath target, or the Assault Intercessors that against units on objectives. So as soon as you're not on objectives, you only have 1 Oath target, and it's like the rerolls go away pretty quick.
Yeah, and
I mean, all the units kind of hit decently hard.
Being OC0 just hits extra hard against.
Yeah, but he has a lot of Assault Intercessors that are OC2.
I'm talking about into the Knight matchup. You want as much OC as you can get.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of OC, a lot of MSU. All these units can potentially trade up into certain targets. Yeah, it's a very interesting list. Very interesting take on champions. I really like this.
I have an idea that he has a heavy Eldar meta. I think this plays real well into Eldar. All these units just getting into them fast.
Yeah.
Not a lot of shooting for them to do their move after you shoot stuff. Already moving at the end of the phase after you shoot them. This looks like, just personally, an anti-Eldar list to me.
Yeah, very interesting.
Which, if they have a bigger, beat demons, Marines, beat Space Wolves.
Space Wolves. What list was that Space Wolf player? He lost in the finals. What was that Space Wolf player? You can click on the Space Wolves list. Oh, champions. Was this the other guy that went?
This is the other 4. No, his only loss was the Space Wolves.
Wow.
He beat Space Wolves round 1, beat Blood Angels, beat Chaos Marines, beat Dark Elves.
Wow, interesting.
Space Wolves, I find, are really, really good into other Marines.
Yeah. I mean, apart from like Ultramarines gunline, God, that gunline is way too powerful.
Yeah.
It's nerfed.
That needs a little fix. But yeah, I mean, in the Chaos Marines, World Eaters, a lot of most Marine body types, they're really, really good into. Even Grey Knights, for the most part, depending on the exact build in the player, but they can do really well into Grey Knights.
Wow.
So that's interesting. He hit all power armor and only lost to another Space Wolf. He hit demons, which we're going to kill in big demons, Chaos Marines, Wolves, Orcs. So no Eldar, no Knights. I think if I could have got these matchups, my list, I could do a 4-1, 5-0.
I mean, Wolves are right there, man. People are hating the Wolves, but
Knights are the only thing I think Wolves have a big problem with right now.
Knights.
Just because the OC and we have an AP and strength problem. You can
Right.
kill it. You
Yeah.
can kill one knight. You can kill 2 knights, but you can't kill 13 knights.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder how Storm. I would like to play Knights. I can't really say how Stormlance does into them.
Well,
Um,
Stormlance, its biggest problem is its damage. It needs to be able to pin stuff in, and I think 6 carnivores and 7 guys with meltas dig back through the wolves pretty quick.
that's right. Yeah, probably be a very interesting matchup. But let's
Yeah.
see this other Space Wolf list that went 4-1.
Yes. All right. So we'll just click on here again because that's who he played against. All right. So
Sure.
Wolf, full wolves. So champions again. Bjorn. So they had a Bjorn on Bjorn. Captain with the Black Death. Logan. Ulrich. All right.
Okay. More traditional.
Assault Intercessors. 10 Blood Claws. That's probably Ulrich's squad.
Yep.
Intercessors.
Yep.
Impulsor.
Yep.
Rhino. All right. So he's probably running the Captain with Intercessors, Assault Intercessors, and the Impulsor. Ulrich's squad's in the Rhino. JPI, 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 Lancer, Scout Squad, Vindicator, 10 Wolfen, so 20 Wolfen, a Vindicator, Scouts, Lancer, 3 JPIs, and then it's really just Bjorn and then Captain Squad and
Ragnar.
Yorick Squad.
Oh, does he have Ragnar? He doesn't have Ragnar.
No, he doesn't have Ragnar.
So this is more traditional. JPI for mission for movement.
Yep, and they do decent damage on the skirmish.
They
Blood
do.
Claws with Yolric's buffs are pretty good into almost anything.
Yep.
They really hit this almost the same as the Wolf Guard, other than they're hit on 3s instead of 2s. They just don't have the Storm Shield option to be as survivable, but they still hit almost as hard. And then the Assault Intercessors give the Black Death reroll 1s, and if the thing you're attacking is on an objective, they still get the full rerolled wound like he would with Stern Guard.
Yeah.
Intercessors,
I like this list. It's still very solid.
Yeah, this lets him sticky his home objective.
You know what I'm seeing in both these lists? They have 0 shooting.
Yeah.
No shooting whatsoever.
He's got a Lancer.
Oh, this guy has a Lancer. Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's fair.
And they have Bjorn, who can put out a little shooting, but yeah, they don't have a lot of shooting.
Yeah, not really.
Oh, and he's got a
Vindicator. Okay,
this guy's got shooting. So
I
the
like
shooting list lost to the combat list.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
As it should be with Space Wolves.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So this looks a lot more like a common list you'd see.
Traditional lists makes sense.
But they're still doing fairly well. Like, you can take Wolves to almost any event, and with the right matchups, do well.
I agree. Yeah. Congrats to these two players. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's just a shame that he had to give him his 1 loss, because I don't know, out of 53 players, does that work out to only 1 undefeated or 2? Because that would have been great if they could have
potentially could have been 2, it sounds like, because 32 players is a 5-round event.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would have been awesome if we'd have had first and second 5-0, 5-0 Space Wolves. All right. So the only other one this weekend was Daryl Graham at there's only a 24, but we'll go ahead and look at it.
Yeah, slightly smaller, but let's take a look. Oh. Stormlance, yeah.
All right, how do we do this? There we go. Oh, so yeah, Stormlance, Bjorn's Patrol. So it's Stormlance. It's trash. We don't even need to look at it.
Yeah, we can just skip it. Come on, Bjorn, man. He only has 2.
One Wolfguard battle leader on Thunderwolf. Okay.
Now Bjorn and 1 battle leader. What is happening?
Intercessor Squad. 1-3.
Oh, this is not a full
500 point. March of this is 500 point.
Okay. Yeah. What in the world?
Okay. That's not bad. So Bjorn.
That's why this is why the Stormlance list went 4-1, because it's 500 points.
Yes. Hey, Grey Knight Sisters lost to Death Guard, which at 500 points they still get all their freaking minuses. That's probably a pain to fight. Yeah. Beat Necrons and Castmers. All right, so this is only a 500 point list.
That's funny. Well, I was about to criticize him for having Bjorn and Stormlance, but whatever.
I was about to criticize him for taking Stormlance. No, I could see Bjorn and Stormlance. That's still run him up behind the Wolves, give people -1 CP. Like,
he's really good if people want to push into you, but he doesn't do pushing very well. Like, he doesn't do a lot of damage. He's not extremely fast. He's like okay fast.
But in survival, your Wolves push past the middle. He just walks to the middle and takes the middle objective and be like,
right, yeah,
get it.
Yeah.
But for 190 points, you can probably find some cheaper stuff to do that.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. let's see how many wolves were out there altogether. So we had a good amount of wolves played this weekend.
Yeah, it looks
At
like
2 and
10 or
3, 4 and
20.
1, 3 and 2. Oh, look at this guy. He don't know what he's talking about.
Who is that guy?
69 players. Look at that.
Yeah.
I'm at a 3 and 2 at an 84 player event.
Yeah, but it looks like champions are still doing pretty well. They're kind of the majority of players want to play champions. It's a really fun detachment.
Oh, absolutely. It's super fun. And yeah, like you said, if you're not running
Thunderwolf Cavalry.
Thunderwolf Cav, it just buffs. Everything else gets so good in it.
Yeah, I still feel like Thunderwolf Cavalry are our best unit, but
Yes.
everything else gets good with champions or rough buffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Champions are
keep
best.
trying to build lists without them, and then I'm just like, man, it's like that +1 damage is so good in a lot of matchups.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's those. Went over mine. So you got any events coming up?
I got an RTT this weekend. I'm testing out. I kind of need to decide my golden ticket list because I need to paint it up, and I've got a battle to end Alzheimer's coming up early mid-April. So I don't have that much time if I want to paint up some units. So I've just got an RTT. I'm just testing out some more iterations on Stormlance, and I think I like the list that I'm taking. It's a little more MSU, and it's got some shooting, some melee, which I always love. And yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna try out this captain with the infiltrating stuff. See how that does this weekend. I'm going to a little. This is a littler RTT. It just probably won't have as big heavy hitters as some of the other ones I've been going to lately.
Okay, solid.
Yep. Oh, and speaking of golden tickets, Big Dave, the Grey Knight player that's starting to do stuff on the channel, he got a golden ticket this weekend.
Oh, that's awesome! Congrats to him.
Because they were giving him the first and second, but John Lennon already has one, so.
Of course, yeah.
Because John and Dave have been like best friends like forever. It's like those two. Like I remember when they were coming up and they were young. Like I was one of the first speed bumps they had to get through to start winning stuff.
That's so funny. Wow,
yeah.
Got some good players down there, man.
Well, that's what I was talking to them about. One of our guys down here, he's out in like Washington State, and he was talking about how soft the meta is. And I'm like, everywhere I go, there's heavy hitters. I'm down here, there's Art of War. I move up there, there's Mark Hurdle and Jeffrey Klodner and I can't remember the name. Battle Brothers team. There's
Austin Winfield. He's fantastic.
Yeah, like I say, it's like everywhere I go, there's top level 40K players. I'm gonna move like out in the Midwest and just start clubbing some.
Yeah, if I ever want to really get a golden ticket, I'll go to Canada and start whooping butts up there because they got a lot of golden tickets for not a lot of people. So, no, I'm just messing with them.
Yeah. All right, cool. So, anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here? Any comments from the chat? I know we've had a few people in here watching.
Nope, nothing from the Discord. Yeah, I'll let you know how the RTT goes this weekend. And then also, I wanted to do a Space Wolf unit tier list. Did we want to do that maybe next Tuesday at 6? We'll do a unit tier list.
Yeah, we can do that.
That'd be really fun because we have a lot of units. We have a lot of good units. So
I think so.
Yeah, we could lay them all out, what we think of them in there. Yeah, that could be really fun.
Cool. Yeah, we'll get all that set up because we have to get like little clips of all the units and stuff to place on the thing, but we'll work on that this week. But yeah, we can do that next Tuesday. We'll do a tier list on the council.
Yeah,
so we'll
that'd be fun.
Yeah, since we're both just doing RTTs, we'll run through those real quick. We won't even like show our list. We'll just give a quick, this unit did good, that didn't, and like boom, and then jump right into the tier list.
Yeah, I like that. And then we can do detachment tier lists. Obviously, Stormlance is S, Champions is A. It's okay. You know, it's okay. But nothing other than that. I'm still
detachment tier list. Yeah, that'd go quick because there's only so many detachments.
There's only so many.
Do we want to do all Marine options or just Wolf Index tier list? Or
for next Tuesday, let's just do a Wolf Index tier list. All Marines. There's like 100 Marine data sheets.
That's what I'm saying. That'd be a long.
Let's do Wolf specific data sheets. Yeah. There's still like 30 or 40, ish Wolf specific data sheets. So there's a lot to go through.
And we could always do, because I did this back in the day. It wasn't a tier list, but I just talked about. We could do like a Space Wolf character tier list, and that could include Marine.
Yeah, We have, I would say, like the best character set in out of any Space Marine chapters.
I think
Obviously,
so.
Gilliman's busted, Calgar's busted,
Well, yeah,
Azrael's
some
good.
people might have one character they can put up, but I
That's
mean, yeah,
better.
yeah.
But we have a baseline of like 8 or 9, 10 characters that you can
Oh,
take in
absolutely.
any game that can still be competitive, which you can't say
Yeah,
for any other Marine chapter.
yeah. There's so many characters. If they're you see them in a list, you're like, yeah, I know why. Like not
Yeah,
like why did
exactly.
you take? Other than like Lucas, we saw Lucas one time and we're like, why
Like,
Lucas?
what's going on with Lucas?
Yeah, but they pretty much anybody else. You're like, yeah, I know why you're taking him.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, Aiden. Thank you guys for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that cool YouTube stuff, and we will catch you next time.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for having me. Bye bye, guys.